5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days.
Welcome to Stock Legends Radio Show, seeking answers, opinions, and the inside scoop, putting you in the front seat on Wall Street.
In today's market,
This is breaking news.
Where is it going next?
StockLegends.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stock Legends Radio, episode 19. Please welcome today's host, myself, Quick Draw. Also, we have a special guest today with us, and we're very excited to have him on board. He's a new public company that has a lot to offer the community. Public ticker symbol GROV, Groveware Technologies. Mr. Harir Akarian, welcome to the Stock Legends Radio Show.
Hi, thank you for having me on the call.
It's our pleasure. We have a lot to talk about today. Your public company is ingrained in an exploding industry, and you have a lot to offer. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of what you have going on internally with your business, how would you like me to present you, Mr. Harir, or would you like to call me by your last name, Akarian? Which is best for you?
Harir is fine.
Harir, let's talk a little bit about your past and what brought you to where you are today with your company and your trials and tribulations on your way up the ladder.
Thank you very much to give me this opportunity. We've been in business since 1999, and we started as a technology company, and our main focus was to build an XML engine that helps develop and deploy business process automation solutions. So we started with web, delivering solutions on the web, and our core competency, if you like, our DNA is smart electronic intelligent forms with workflow. And that was the start of our first solution where we deployed automated forms on the web. And in 2001 was our first venture to the mobile world, and we built our first portable electronic forms for tablet PCs. And needless to say, there was a lot of trials and tribulations and false starts. But we got it right, and we had a lot of utilities using our solution. Then came the smartphones, and in 2005, we got hooked up with BlackBerry, and we started deploying our solution for electronic forms on BlackBerry devices. And 2009, everything changed with the launch of iPad. I'll tell you, we got so excited, and we changed our platform, our mobile platform, and we created a new platform for all the devices. We knew that iPad wasn't going to be the only one, and because we seen it in 2001 with the tablet PCs and BlackBerry, so we decided to change our platform, get into one development platform that applies to all of the upcoming smartphones and tablet PCs and tablets. And today we have MobiTaz. We introduced MobiTaz about a year and a half ago that runs on any smartphones and tablet PCs. That's the short version.
That's the summary version. Now, the average listener today might not realize what a large impact this particular segment has on not just the public sector, but on the globe as in general. There are so many employees on a global level that up until today's day and age and technological advancements would have to go to, let's say, a business location or state workers that go to government locations that have to do audits or any kind of application that's done on the spot with a customer, even business-to-business sales, that up until this point, you would have to walk in with a big, heavy notebook. We've all seen them walking down the sidewalk when you're driving by. You see the salesman, and he's got the notebook that probably weighs about 20 pounds and 15 pens in their pocket when they come in the door, and you're like, wow, this guy's really ready for a sale. He's got 10 pens in his pocket and a 20-pound notebook. Up until today's day and age, typically that's what we saw within the industry. But with the technological advancements, with the iPad, with the smartphones, with all these things, it's opened up this humongous industry that unfortunately is needed, but there's so many companies that just haven't gotten it right. It's a hard thing to be able to do, to be able to take all this data correctly and to be able to reciprocate that to a data engine, which at that point in time will spread it out to the various workflow stages that it needs, whether it's accounting or whether it's the manufacturing that has to get the orders ready, or whether it's the sales office that has to get that initial product ready and get it back to the business that ordered the product. And not to mention, we were talking about this before the show, but there's such a large, there's a giant gorilla standing in the room that the average person wouldn't pay attention to, and that is that one single application, one paper application, on average will cost $3.25, and that's not including the data entry person that's going to receive that fax with that paper application and have to enter that in. So the average application will cost on average $3.25. The data entry personnel on the other end receiving that application will cost up to $70 or $80 on the other end. With the system that you are able to put into place, the reduction of cost is brought down to $5.25. That's not just the initial reduction in cost, that's the lifetime reduction in cost, which is over 800% reduction in cost. Now, after that, a normal paper application will see an additional $150 as it gets transferred to the second point offices, which would be the distribution, which would be the payroll, which would be all these second categories offices. But with your process, it's still the original number, $3.25. We're talking over a 1,000% reduction in streamlined cost to transfer that data. This is such a significant point that Bill Gates actually wrote about this in a recent book. And it's truly amazing how much these small aspects of business cost the average business, and if you're not up to speed and you're not being competitive and staying on the front end, you could get put out of business. These small changes here can make the difference between being competitive and leading your industry and literally putting a close sign in the window, which is what we see happen so often today.
ROI is very, very important. The return on investment in our marketplace is absolutely instant. So we're dealing with an industry, or we're dealing with the economy that is on instant response, that I'm going to buy this tablets, I'm going to buy my iPad, and help me out get a return on investment. So the commoditizing of the products and solution it's coming in a big way, where don't tell me that it's going to take me forever. I need it today. I need it now. And this is the market that we are able to help. We're showing them in real time a return on investment. That is, they can count on it. And the best part is there's no demand of healthcare once they institute this technology, increase in salaries and pay and so on and so forth. So you are right on saying your return on investment is your cost is identified and it's locked in a box, and then you get the benefit of being profitable using the system.
And you just said a key point. You said speed, and that's a factor that I hadn't even previously put into mind, but you have a paper application. Now you've got somebody that filled out a paper application at a business location. Okay, so let's say that they're waiting to go back to their post or their office. You've got an hour drive in the car. Okay, so they fax that to the person that's going to do the data entry. Now let's say you have another hour or so before that data entry person goes and grabs that app out of the fax machine and enters that app into the computer, where it's then sent to the next spot. I mean, you've got literally hours for things to either A, go wrong, or for B, just to be lost time. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've faxed paperwork into a place or a business, and I've called in and said, yeah, I faxed an app in yesterday, and I still haven't heard anything back. Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie's out of the office. Oh, let me go check the fax machine. Oh, looks like somebody might have grabbed it. I've got page 8 and 9. How many pages were in that app? Oh, there were 20. Oh, well, can you fax it back over, and I'll go ahead. So what happens, and unfortunately, representing the human race, I'd hate to say this, but anytime a human is able to touch and feel and get involved with any type of system, you're going to have, first of all, a ton of errors, and second of all, a ton of wasted time. So, if you were to take that same exact system, you've got the salesperson that walks in with an iPad 2, They're able to fill out a form on location. Not only that, but they're able to grab a signature and verify that signature on the spot and click send. Guess where that's going? That's going to the end point, and that is in an instant, in the blink of an eye.
And not only that, now you're in the process in real time that you can initiate a health insurance inquiry, you can initiate a work order, you can initiate a sales order, you can update a CRM information, you can update a home healthcare folks that go visits into the patient. And one of the critical things about home healthcare is that, sometimes if it's written on paper and there's no alerts on it, nobody knows that this is a dangerous situation unless somebody calls and makes somebody aware that I'm faxing a request for help here, but make sure that it gets processed. With electronic world, all the alerts, all the notifications are done in real time. So real-time business now can be done using the iPads and smartphones like iPhones and Blackberries. So it's important for us to keep that concept of real-time automation live in terms of when they ask for it, and instantly somebody is alerted of a required action needed behind it.
Exactly. Not to mention that 90% of the world's data compromises come from important paperwork being stacked in an office, or, for example, the healthcare situation that you just spoke of. Well, now you've got your important health records in Judy's back seat. Well, she's not going to be back into the office till tomorrow, so now she's, taking the kids to Chuck E. Cheese there in the back seat, or, she's going out and she's got strangers in the back seat. Well, your medical records are back there as well. Or let's take any of these situations. You go and fill out a business-to-business sale application. Well, you've got that business's tax ID, the owner's social security number, all these important factors literally floating around on a piece of paper in the back seat. So, you've got major data security problems with the system that's been in place that we've always known, which is why there's so much fraud in things in the world, because there's not an electronic system that grabs that data, secures it, and sends it to the end location. It has to touch 5 or 6 or 7 people's hands along the way. So then when you do have a data compromise, you find yourself walking backwards, or running backwards, we should say, and
yes,
trying to find out where the problem occurred and who was able to get that data and create that compromise. And it's such a huge aspect. Let's talk about the encryption of this data when it's sent, because it is such a large factor. We've literally got multi-billions of dollars just in the U.S. alone of money that's taken, or social security numbers that are taken, which is a really big thing. I'm in Arizona, so in Arizona we're so close to the border that you can't have any of your information here. People will literally go through your garbage to try and find social security numbers, and that's the world that we're living in. How is the data transferred, and what kind of protection do you have to make sure that there is no compromise?
One of the key things we have done is when we look at this business where we said we're going to streamline and automate and mobilize information, is we looked at the business we're in, and one key things came back to us from all the customers we talked to is how secure this thing is. Well, I can tell you, we designed it to be out of the box, all the security inherent to any users. And when we say inherent, that means regardless whether you're a small organization with 10 people out in the field, or large, massive organizations like New York Health Department, we provide the same encryption of data between the user with their handheld iPads and the backend. The second, the backend server system. The second step that we have taken is not only the security of the data, but the validity of the submitter. So here we talk about we create authentication of the user. So we secured the tablet so that the user that has permission to log into the tablet is the only one who can log in. Let's say that is breached. So somebody breached that user password that logs in. Then they have to log into our application. So we created a second authentication system. Now, at that point, that authentication goes against the main corporate authentication system. Now, let's say that is breached. We have a third authentication that we had to create for them. And at this point, not only it is who it says it is, but now we created an authentication of the submitter. When they fill the forms or they want to read the data, the system is on this inexpensive tablet which says, now, give me the last token before I show you the information. And it pre-populates after you provide that secure token, which is a password. And then when you submit, you're ready to submit. It says, okay, I'm not going to get any information behind the firewall till you give me that secure token. So we created these 3 layers of security where the customer has a choice to activate each one of them based on the demand or based on the use friendliness of the system.
So even if they were to get past one particular stage, they're still not going to get anything. They still got to get past the other 2 or 3. So if you're trying to get data, well, guess what? You're not going to even want to try and get data from one of the businesses that has a system in place. You're going to go with a guy across the street that's still using the paper system, that's still faxing it in using unsecured networks.
Exactly.
So now let's talk about this data here. Now this is intelligent data, which is error-proof. For example, I was in a business previously where we had particular systems like this, and these electronic applications, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of communication that goes on behind the scenes electronically, where so many things can go wrong. Typically, we've got a platform that's built on code, and what it does is, box 1 will add with box 5, and they'll add with each other, and that end result will be categorized in box 22. And now, mind you, there's all these millions of different communications of code going on behind the scenes. Then, at that point in time, whether it's an Apple or, it's an HTC Evo or any of these different platforms which have their own languages, that language would then have to be transposed and reiterated into the end language that would go to the server. So you have all these instances where there could be so many mistakes. And, guess what? If you're in a business and you've got 200 applications that came in, you're not going to know for 30 or 60 days that there was ever even a mistake on those applications. So when that mistake occurs, you find yourself backtracking 30 or 60 days, well, guess what you have to do now? Now you didn't save money. Now you have to hire 10 or 15 or 20 people to go and sort through all of those applications to try and find out where the errors were and correct them. Not only that, you have to hire a fire squad to go and put out all the fires from all the customers that are on the edge of their seats, and they're so mad because that number, and for example, just as a small example, my cousin owns a business and he had this happen. We had 300 or 400 deals that came in, and the rates for his customers were off by about 0.28, which is only 28 basis points. But the problem is that 28 basis points on a customer that brought in $200,000 in volume that month made a difference of about $6,000. So, if you're the end user and you were supposed to get a bill for $2,000 and you get a bill for $8,000 or $9,000, well, guess what? That came out automatically. So that is not a happy customer. How is your system put into place to overcompensate and adjust for potential mistakes like that?
Yeah. You talked about intelligence. These are intelligence forms. That means it validates every data at every data entry point. So we have brought intelligence from the backend system. So what we do when we meet a customer, we ask them to explain how their database is structured, how their systems are organized, so that we can read existing data that is out there and existing rules that they apply against this data, how they want to manage the data, how they want to capture the data. Then our middleware, our Xforma middleware, that is the front end that is exposed against the mobile devices, manages the whole communication, the whole handshake of data coming from the tablets and into their backend system. And we create, for security and for safety reason, we create holding tables so that it goes one more time, if you like, cleanse the data, validate the data before it goes into another format into their backend system. So at the capture level, we provide the user minimum amount of data entry. But the way we do this is by bringing data sets, creating tables onto the tablet that validate the choices and narrows down. So, for example, if I am an inspector and I'm inspecting a building that I have the records already, and all I do is say I'm building 123 Main Street, and the system will bring the information about the building 123 Main Street and says that the 6-story building that has on each floor or the suite. So as I walk into that building, my system knows that I'm not going to inspect 8th floor because the building has 6th floor, and I will indicate to the system I'm on 6th floor, and automatically it reduces the entry to says, okay, there are 4 offices. I'm office number 1. It reduces. As you can see, filtering the information intelligently reduces the time it takes to capture the data and eliminates the errors, human errors and system errors. Now we have valid information.
Now also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
And now also behind the scenes, what you've done is you've created a code-free environment. So you don't have these languages communicating. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this this system, this communication that you've created that's actually code-free?
Yeah. So our Xforma middleware BPM suite, basically it's browser-based. It requires zero programming, and I mean zero programming. It's all configuration. In fact, we encourage our customers to take ownership and build their own forms in real time. So they can build the form, connect to their database, and as soon as they hit save, the system generates the code for that, and then they can synchronize to their tablet. We are living at times where everything is at speed of light, because I want to go, all this new app. I have an app for this with Apple is as you drive, your iPhone can indicate to you there's a movie theater here and there's a Chinese restaurant here and there's Italian restaurant there. So we are now used to instant information capture. There is the same thing in the programming world. There is no more budgets to start with to build big system. There's only, if I need a program right now, I want to have that within a month running on my system. So having a really robust solution like Xforma that generates the code on its own, intelligent codes, and connects to external tables, it's just a benefit that we take advantage by providing it to our client, so that our deployment, instead of doing one client at a time, we can do 20, 200 clients at the same time.
Now, you have a client that was actually extremely impressed with you recently, New York State Department of Health. They were able to come in. Now, let's just draw a visual image here. You've got the state of New York. It's one of the biggest states in the country. As far as the health network of workers that in the past were walking in with these giant battle notebooks ready to take on the world, there might be 10 or 20,000, even more. There might be 40,000 of those employees. Now you're able to go in there and put together an automated electronic form system. You're able to get it up and running in about 48 hours. As a state, not just the amount of money that they're going to save, but they were able to put this into place so fast. I mean, they were on the edge of their seats. They couldn't believe it. What kind of, what are the limitations of this? I mean, if you're able to offer a solution for New York State Health Department, they're able to send their people out so quickly. I mean, where is the limits of the capabilities here?
Just to give you an example, when I showed them this, they said, oh my God, we cannot believe how simple it is. We can take ownership of this and build all our inspection systems that we have. They have an excellent back-end system that they're not able to mobilize. And all of a sudden, we give them the tool to mobilize. The benefit for us is that the health department is one department out of 60 different departments. And guess what? They go and present it to other departments like labor department, who's interested in using the same tool for all the labor code compliance. The human children and human services department is interested to go check the daycares, the home care, the housing for seniors and residences, all this. And now it's mushrooming to all the different agencies and transportation departments. So you see how adapting and delivering a solution within one department of the organization or a state, it's just opening up the doors for all the departments throughout the state.
And it would have to, because it makes sense. Now, we talked about another aspect that's huge. You've got one single application, but behind the interface of that application, you're able to actually multi-channel that data. So if I fill out a single application, one aspect of that form can go off to this branch and department. The other aspect of that form can go off to this branch and department, and this branch and department, all at the click of send. That data is then broken down, defragmented, and sent to the specific categories.
Yeah, and that we do it day in and day out. What happens is, the typical example would be your service guy, your heating ventilation guy that shows up and fix your furnace. And if you take a look at their work order sheet, that is basically information captured with handwriting about the customer, the date, the information about the type of furnace they have, and what was wrong. So you're looking at customer information back at system that will be in CRM, and the troubleshooting. The trouble ticket is the furnace is broken, the fan is not running, and then you have the information about what's the solution. You provide the information, what you did. You replace the fan, you replace the motor, and so on and so forth, and what your recommendation is for the customer maintenance. Then you look at the bottom part of the page. Now it's about what parts did you replace, what materials did you use? Did you use the vacuum? Did you use the gases? And please indicate how many, one fan, two belts, and how much are you charging? So that is materials and cost. Did you have it in the truck? No, I had to go and issue a PO, pick up the parts from this guy. And then you have the bottom part where it's about when did you leave, how long did you drive, how much time did you spend. So that's the labor cost. So when that paper is handed into the back office, you have people entering each set of information to the different application. So here we design a system that is XML. It tags that information. When it's submitted from the tablet and goes to our backend system, that our backend system generates multiple different information set. We call them XML document. And each one of those automated goes to payroll, for example, for labor costs, goes to expense report for the gas and traveling and so on and so forth, goes to procurement for picking up a motor from the hardware store, and goes for billing to invoice the customers. That's what we're talking about. One electronic system that is intelligent enough to capture the data properly and then break that data to channel it to multiple applications.
Now, let's say, for example, I want an additional form. Let's take the furnace guy, for example, since you use that. I want a custom form. If my furnace guy goes out, he takes a look at the furnace, and he notices that the blower is 10 years old while he's there, even though it might not be broken. Let's say it has 6 months of life left. If I want a form where I can have him plug in, hey, in 6 months this blower is going to go out, let's do a call back and see if they want us to come out and check that old blower and make sure that it's, it hasn't gone out or isn't planning on going out. You could even use that more or less as a productive capability to be able to potentially generate more revenues.
Absolutely, what we call cross-selling. So now we have forms, not only they use to do their work because they're assigned to do the repair job, But more and more companies are looking, because that person is already in front of the client. So you have face-to-face with the client, and now use the tablet to say, we're going to cross-sell here. So our application, our MobiTask applications, has 4 components. One is smart electronic forms. The other one is workflow. The other one is electronic documents. So they can show to the client the kind of products they have, the kind of products they recommend, and they can schedule somebody else to follow up by just submitting a scheduling request.
Exactly. Imagine trying to compete with a company like that. I mean, if you're another furnace company in the area, I mean, you've got to be saying to yourself, wow, these guys are all over the place. I mean, how do I even compete with their system? Every time I do a sales call, they're already there. Every time I got a repair call, they're already there. I mean, you literally, you gain the capabilities of, you started on ground level. Now you're kind of floating above the business and picking and choosing what apples you want to pull off the tree.
Exactly. And not only that the customers who adopt on technology are ahead of the curve, but they have no choice. The competition will eat them alive if they don't reduce their cost, and if they don't respond to customer need in timely manner. Today, everybody can say, okay, Joe's heating ventilation, I can Google somebody else and get it right out of my interface that who's responding. So you will use technology to leverage increasing your sales, but also reducing your costs. I want to add one more thing. We designed this system, MobiTask, that we can bring third-party application. It does already barcode scanning. It does picture taking. So this technician that goes to repair the heating ventilation, the furnace, he's able to add onto his work order a picture before he opens the furnace. It's messy, takes a picture. It becomes part of the record. He cleans it up, takes another picture. He says, this is what I installed, and enter the serial number. But more importantly, we also geotag all that information that is taken, so it becomes really valuable data on top of this, and capture the signature. The final thing that we have added is an interface to third party where they can even make payments, collect credit card payment, and have that incorporated into the form, so that everything is processed, nothing is left, so no bad checks. So if the customer gives them a check and they go and deposit it, comes back, the job is done already. So this way they get paid right on the spot.
Right. Or let's say, for example, that guy shows up and he scans the product and he gives it to the customer. The customer later down the road says, oh, yeah, he never gave me that product. Well, yes, he did, because it was scanned, was signed off on. We have a picture of it. Everything's right here. Or let's say, for example, in the medical type of scenario, hey, well, X amount of this drug seems to be missing and is uncategorized. Well, you take that human nature out of the process, because when you go to a patient's place, you're scanning and logging that into the system, and that's accounted for. So now, not only do you have the capabilities to be able to take these forms, but you've also got your inventory being taken on the spot. You've also got your prevention, your fraud prevention, where people are going to try and take advantage of your business and try and get one over on you. You've got that taken care of all in one spot. You've got your processing taken care of all in one spot. I mean, you're literally walking around with, up until recently, about 6 months ago to a year ago, you would need a full back-end office to be able to run all these different utilizations, and you've got it all in a notepad that doesn't even weigh 7 ounces.
Exactly. And the power of these iPads, it's really amazing. We can load nothing less than 2,000 forms, electronic forms that they can use. One thing that you brought very important is liability issues. Governments are really being hammered these days with all kinds of liability issues. An example is one of the cities that we are working with, their Parks and Recs department sends inspectors to the parks to inspect equipment, where children play all these, they have the monkey bars and what have you. So they had an inspector that signed off that everything is safe for kids to play. And it was 2 days later, they have an accident and a kid got killed. And they went, this is true story, city of San Francisco. And guess what? They said, well, it was inspected. Here's a piece of paper. What we provide, just to give you the difference, what we provide is maybe the inspector never went there. Nobody can prove that. But our inspection system, when they take a picture, is geotag. It gives you coordinates where you took the picture.
Oh, I never even thought of that. That is amazing.
When they sign the paper, it signs at the location. So we take every click and geotag the clicks with the forms.
That's unbelievable.
That is how far we have pushed the envelope.
And that just goes to show you there's so many other additional aspects that might not come to mind. And that's why these interviews are so important, because we're living in a three-dimensional world, and unfortunately a lot of these different investment opportunities in businesses or even systems that any company selling is always presented in a two-dimensional format. But once you really get in, you're able to put the doctor's gloves on, you get to see that's an amazing functionality. I mean, these systems are put into place to take the errors and to take the human nature out of the equation. The human nature is to take advantage of and to try and, weasel one over. And you might think it doesn't happen, but unfortunately it does. And, from whether you're talking about the medical segment, all these hospitals and doctors, and they have to compensate because, the health insurance is so high. Well, the health insurance is so high because one patient is costing them so much money. Well, why is that? It's because there's humans involved with the process, and it's very difficult to have a tight system without any leaks in it when you have people involved in the loop. So there's all these different aspects that can be incorporated, like the one that you just said. I mean, that's something that the average person wouldn't think of unless you were actually to take a three-dimensional look at it. So now, in addition to that, there could be 100 other aspects that, next time we talk a few months down the line, you'll say, hey, Justin, this is great. Check out this technology. And it's just like mind-blowing that these small electronic systems can literally go in and make the difference, not just in a small business, whether or not they're staying competitive and even staying in business, but we're talking about giant governments and medical systems. I mean, we're talking about serious establishments that are put into place that could potentially save billions of dollars.
Yeah, I'm going to add that to a couple of clients that we have worked with. One is in the quality assurance business. They want to make sure that they are providing their contractors. They contract to do food distribution, logistics for large food retailers, shopping. And what they have done is their business depends on the confidence and reliability that the quality delivery system going to be in timely manner. The only way they can assure the customer, their customer, by providing them audit reports. So we provide them a solution that their customer, which is a very, very large grocery store, is so happy because they can now get in real time report of that there is no shrinkage or reduced shrinkage, that the products are not damaged, that audits are done regularly at the location because we can give them geotag location. So those are the kind of things impacts the bottom line for any organization.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's not a person listening to this right now that hasn't pulled one over. Even me, I've had sales jobs all my life. I mean, that's always been my bread and butter, what I've gone back to. So let's say, my boss calls and I happen to have swung by my daughter's school just to say hello. Well, your boss calls. What's the first thing you do? Oh yeah, I'm just left the client. I'm in the parking lot. This and that. Yeah, it might be a small white lie, and this is just a particular example, but in the grand scheme of things, this technology will be able to take that out of the equation. And when you're running a business for the business, enough of them little small white lies coming from all these different areas can make the difference between, a gross profit of negative 100,000 and a profit of 350 grand. And that's life or death for a business running in today's day and age.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about one of your large-scale clients here that we spoke about earlier on in the day. Now, you are a BSA partner with Verizon Wireless, and Verizon Wireless has opened up a portion of salespeople to be able to train and be able to teach them the utilizations to go ahead and resell this product and service. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that relationship?
That is our golden relationship. That is the most cherished thing that we have today is our relationship with Verizon Wireless. And the reason I say this is that the need, we complement each other very well. They are the largest wireless organization in the United States. And what they have is they're in every client, every segment of the economy. They service the government, they service SMB, they service Fortune 2000, Fortune 500, you name it. They're in every aspect of the economy. What they do in the areas of business is that they have their client using their smartphones and they're using their networks. But the economy, all they're going to do is to add new client is to steal it from their competitor.
Right.
We provide them the opportunity to now, because they're with their client, to go horizontal with their client. By that, I mean now upsell the client with new services. They carry all kinds of smartphones and tablets, but the only reason they're going to convince an electrical company, a large organization, to buy from Verizon a tablet, which they can buy from electronics store down the street, is that they're going to put not only the hardware, they can put the network on. But bringing us to the table, they're going to put the solution. Where the customer is going one place, these huge enterprise that take full responsibility of saying, look, we're going to give you end-to-end solution. We're going to bring you the hardware. We're going to connect it to the network. We have a partner that's going to bring the solution to this hardware, connect it to your data. Could you imagine the customer saying, and we're going to do it really inexpensively. This is not an IBM solution. We're going to give you out of the box the best solution that you can have.
You don't think of that part of the business, but you've got all these different people selling the iPads, and they're kind of, they're plucking them one by one. Hey, this guy just bought an iPad, that guy bought an iPad, but you're not thinking of the business that goes in that has 20,000 sales associates on a nationwide business-to-business sales ring, and they're going to call in and they're going to order 20,000 tablets all in one order. Well, who's that business going to go with? Are they going to go with the one where they're just going to get the tablets, or are they going to go with the one where they're going to get replacement and they're also going to get this excellent electronic system that's already proven to work without mistakes that they're able to utilize and then immediately put into effect on a nationwide team? That's going to secure the deal for a company like Verizon. That's going to be the one where once that's put on the table, that's the no-brainer. Guess while everyone else is plucking them one by one, they're going to be drop shipping nets and pulling millions of them out of the market single-handedly, almost effortlessly, and you're able to make that happen.
And that's the key of this, is the channel, the distribution. They provide, for example, we have right now, we're launching with USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, a soil scientist inspection system. And guess what? We were introduced by Verizon. We were taken to the department, and it took a year of testing our solution on their devices. Now USDA says, okay, here are the scientists. They're in 50 states. We'd like you to go and deploy that. Guess what? I don't have the bandwidth, but Verizon does. And that's where this partnership really, they take advantage of the opportunity we help them secure. Now they go and execute on that flawlessly. because every tablet's going to be running right now. They will have the connections, the training, and so on and so forth. So that's really important.
And we hear so many people talk about these things, and it's like, for example, I could have met an executive out that owns a huge Fortune 500 company. Well, next thing you know, as a CEO, I'm saying, oh yeah, me and this executive, we go way back. We're like practically best friends, and this and that. It's not that type of environment in this scenario because you've been working on this for a couple of years with them. So this is baked in the cake.
It is. It is not only that we've proven. We started one client at a time, and they put us on watch to say, okay, you're telling us you can do all this. Now we're going to take you to our clients, and you're going to perform. And based on that, we're going to take you to the next level. And they create GROVware days with their clients where we visit different departments of the same client with different needs. So those are the kind of things that has been going on the last 2 years, and that is really where it's proven. We've proven ourselves to the marketplace. Now it's just expanding the market. That's where the fun begins.
In today's day and age, in order to stay competitive and in order to stay on the front end of your competition, you need to find a system that you're able to put in place that allows you to work smarter rather than harder. For so many years, through the 80s and 90s, it was all, you had to come through the door like a bull. I mean, you had to throw cash into the fire. You had to really, you had to have a sales force or a team of all these people that were able to put these systems together. And then not only that, but you have to train Judy for a month to learn how to even put the data in correctly. And then there's still going to be a level of error that's going to take place, and an error, shrinkage and loss and all these different things that really affect your bottom line, where instead of doing all that, if you take the time to implement this flow, this process, so that there is no error, so that things are categorized, once it's put into place, it's done. You're ready to rock and roll. I mean, as a business, you're put in the front driver's seat, and you're really able to focus on the things that matter, where business up until of late, what really mattered was making sure that the least amount of mistakes occurred dealing with people.
And we look for a fabulous year. The balance of the year, it's going to be really one of those change. It's going to change our company's look, and especially since we are now public, we're looking forward to have tremendous growth the next few years. That's going to take us to a level of unprecedented growth. So I think there's a great benefit for investors in this market, in our company, and in our technology.
You're brand new to the market. As an investor taking a look at your company, it has to be exciting to be able to thumb through all this information, to be able to listen to this interview, and to be able to say, wow, this is a new company that's coming into the public market that has all of these great things to offer. It's really an exciting time. We'd like to commend you on all of your accomplishments in such a short period of time. It's such an intriguing business that you have in place, and we want to try and work as hard as we can to get a three-dimensional view of the business, because it's such a big element, and it's such a big factor on all these different governments, agencies, businesses, to their bottom line. This is the link that's been missing. There's been a huge link. There's been a disconnect between where the losses are occurring and what's going on, and by being able to put these systems in place, they're really able to correct that missing link, and you found a way to streamline it. You're already in the door with some companies that, I don't want to get too much of a blown up head here when talking about it, but these types of things, once you sit at these tables, once you offer a product that makes sense and works and does what you say it does, other doors open up. And when those doors open up, that's when we see these types of things take off like a jet. It's an overnight type of thing, once that system is put into place and perfected.
Exactly. And success breeds success, right? And this has happened to us. We work so hard to really go in front of the client and convince them. You know how we did the convincing? This is interesting, because we can do all kinds of things with our technology, and out of all people, us doing it very well, is our partnership with Verizon allows us to do the following. We said any client that they bring that wants to test our product, here's what we do. We built one free app. We put it on a tablet that Verizon provides them for 2 weeks to 4 weeks to free trials. Could you imagine that? Business app. I'm not talking.
That's great.
I'm not talking about toothbrush that you can try. I'm not talking. This is business hours.
Exactly. Exactly.
And guess what? 60% of people who tried are customers. And our customers, blue chip customers, we have state government, we have agencies, we have healthcare agencies. It's a blue chip customer base we have.
Because you can have a great product. You can have everything right. But you stand in front of a salesman and you get oversold, or you guy that walks in the cheap cologne and this and that and sits down and tries to hard sell you because he's got this or that going on. You can have a great product that the client may have brought in, but there could be something or someone along the line that got in front of him that just kind of turned him off on the whole idea. And guess what? You just lost a sale. But when you're able to physically look, touch, feel, smell, I mean, even taste, you're able to get all your senses involved. You're able to bring it home and sit down with your wife or sit down with another executive and say, hey, check this out. What do you think this could do for our company? Well, guess what? That decision's made on your own time, which is exactly what takes it out of you. You know, the whole sales process in itself, when you're being chased down like a gazelle running through a field in the Sahara, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that process. But being able to take that technology and base your own opinion and see it in real time, not only that, are they able to customize this platform to suit their own business?
Yeah.
Like as far as logos, look and feel, and everything else?
Yeah, and functionality. So what we do is we say, okay, here's what the way you're doing your paperwork right here. Let's put it in the electronic format. We build it that. We put it on the tablet. I want the person using this form to use the tablet and give you the feedback. Forget about what I'm saying, but let your employee, who's going to be the end user, tell you. And we do it like in 1 day, in 2 days, they go, what is this? This is exactly what we were dreaming of. And that's the state we're on right now. People are coming back to us and saying, yeah, this is real.
Of course. How could you not? I mean, imagine being able to go in and, you know, rather than doing a test drive in a car with a salesman in the car, imagine them saying, hey, go ahead, take the keys for a week.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do. And they call back, can we keep it another 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't been able to come to a decision yet. Can I get another week? Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's what we do. And you know what? We're the only one doing it because we are so confident in our technology that the moment we put it in their hand, we know we have the sales done.
Oh, it's done. Hands down. It's really an amazing thing. And you know what? You have to think about the longevity of it. You take a look at certain things and certain elements or whatever it could be. An element, a product, a service, a technology, whatever, it has a lifespan. For example, if you were selling cassette players in the 90s, well, you got to know you only have X amount of time left to sell the cassette players. So if you're not able to adapt and overcome and move into an additional segment, then you're going to go out of business. I mean, we've seen it a million times. I mean, we've seen, Blockbuster. We've seen all these different businesses, Yellow Book, that weren't able to adapt and overcome and formalize that strategy to be able to stay competitive. But in your particular niche, you're the ones that are pushing the envelope. You're the ones that are pushing the pack forward and saying, well, you know what, why don't we implement this? So you're the creative end that's actually able to build these technologies and come up with these technologies and change the businesses that everybody else is adapting to.
Exactly. It's remember, we started some time ago, and I look back the technologies when we introduce it, sometimes we update it like 2 years, 3 years, but now we're in the phase of every year. We have to come up, be so different just to stay ahead of the curve. And at the end, we're still delivering the same thing, data capture, but we have to load it. We have to make it easier so that everybody cross-board can really take advantage of it.
And that right there, that particular process right there is what creates that longevity. So you don't have the longevity of a physical product that's going to go out of date.
Yeah.
What you're implementing is an actual technology, which has as much longevity as the human mind could compensate for. So as an investor, we see all these different things changing and taking place. I mean, if you would have asked me 5 or 10 years ago if I would have thought that anything that I see nowadays was even accomplishable, I would have said there's absolutely no way. But the technology is developing at a rate of like 100,000% per year. So they're saying that a supercomputer that in the 90s would have had to take up 2 floors on an executive office level can now fit in your pocket while you walk around. I mean, you have to take that into account. And this isn't just a system and a technology that's put into place just for, let's say, for example, an electronic app. I mean, this similar technology can be recreated and improvised a million times over to go in a million different directions. And the beauty of it is you're not taking inventory. You're not shipping boxes out to 100,000 different businesses on a national level, or you're not dealing with any of that. I mean, you're literally at the touch of a button sending over the technology and being able to capitalize on sales on a massive, massive level, which in turn for the investors, you got to look at the bottom line. I mean, you're paying for the modification of technology. You know, you're not paying for the guy that's waiting for 100,000 TVs to get shipped, and there was a 30% loss in product. Well, as an investor, was there really a 30% loss in product, or what exactly happened here? You've got to take a look at the market. And this type of stuff here, I mean, the numbers are plain as day. You're able to take a look at them. You're able to see the growth. It really is an intelligent investment. It's very easy for you to get a three-dimensional view into the back office and find out what's going on. And it's really excellent. I mean, a lot can go on here. It's very exciting.
Yep, I'm excited. I'm excited to be part of this investment community, and I think investors should be excited.
Now, let's talk about that for a minute. For some of the new investors that might be listening today, we have guys that listen from all different walks of life. What would you like to say to the new investors coming on board and welcome them to your company? It's an exciting time. I'm happy to be able to grab hold of this as soon as you walked in the door. I'm pumped for you. What would you like to say to the new investors that are coming on board?
You ain't seeing anything yet, because this is going to be this is going to be like a rocket, because we have the channels that we can, anything we plug into the channel, it's massively distributed in terms of salespeople. We have clients that we just scratch 1% of their utilization. So our existing client, the explosion going to happen. We have mobility as number one growth industry in the world today. Number one. So the industry is the correct industry. We are in the right time at the right place, and this opportunity, we're crisscrossing the technology with the marketplace. It's just going to explode. It is exploding, not going to explode. It is exploding. Our clients are real clients, not intent to buy. They buy our stuff on a daily basis. We're over capacity. We're hiring people. So we are growing at leaps and bounds right now as we speak.
Right, as opposed to somebody else who may still be fumbling through the market trying to find something to come up with. Or, they talk about clients that they don't really have yet. Oh, yeah, we're hoping to potentially maybe kind of do this down the road. It's not that situation. I mean, this is on the table. You can touch it and feel it. It's live.
Actually, I'm going to offer this to you and to listeners is to download the app. It's on Android Marketplace. For those using Android devices, they can download it on their smartphone, and on Apple App Store or BlackBerry App Stores. Just download the app. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes, and we have full demos in the app. You see electronic forms, you see electronic documents, you see what I'm talking about, how simple it is for us to distribute our product to the App Store, and it's going to ask you to authenticate or put your name down, and then to log in, either call us or use the word user as a username, and the password is 1111.
Perfect.
Okay, there's nothing better than you looking at the app that I'm talking about.
Exactly. Well, that's the fight, to take a two-dimensional product that may be tough to grasp and be able to turn it into a three-dimensional presentation. I would even like to second you that. And if there's any kind of way in the future you put together any kind of video, for some of these guys, I've got a lot of friends that are actually investors, and they'll call me all the time. Hey, how do I get to this in my phone? Or hey, how do I do this or that? If you come up with a video presentation or anything along the lines of that to be able to present, I'd like to be the first to grab hold of it. And, I would take extreme pride in being able to distribute that to the investor community on your behalf, or maybe even by the time this interview is done, we'll already have it done. So you might already have it. And if that's the case, you can go to stocklegends.com. There'll be their own custom page here for the company. You'll be able to go there and listen to the interview, see the video, be able to really touch and feel this product and be able to grasp the concept, because being able trying to reciprocate the capabilities here is difficult in a virtual world where you're talking about processes, but it is such a big thing. We'd also like to thank you for coming on the radio show today, Harir, and we'd love to welcome you back at any point in time. For our investors that are listening here today, again, we want to send you to stocklegends.com. We want you to go ahead and take a look at all of the due diligence that we put together for you here on the company. We would also like every single person listening today to go to groveware.com. Go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff that they have here put into place, some of their clients, these different systems. There's a few different aspects of it, the Xforma BPM suite, Mobitask, XML upload tool. So there's a few different aspects here that are put into place. This is a very exciting time for your company. As an investor, it's a new stock on the market. We don't get this opportunity very often. We can't thank you enough for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you. This is a great opportunity. This is my first interview, by the way, and I'm sure that we will connect again, and I would love to do this all over.
Oh, we will absolutely have you come back. This is the type of stuff that we wake up for every single morning, is an opportunity just like this. Investors, please direct your attention over to groveware.com one more time, and then we'll also send you over to stocklegends.com. and take a look at everything we put together there. Harir, it's been our pleasure having you on the radio show today, and we're very excited about this.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. GROV, G-R-O-V, is the ticker symbol, Groveware Technologies, ladies and gentlemen.